All right, so no camera. All right, so really excited that we got a road win and a hard place to play, and really good timing for a bye. Sometimes they come at bad timing when you don't necessarily need them as much, but we're playing with a lot of injured players. That this will be very significant, and hopefully will help if we can get them back, help us all over, but especially defensively. So I thought that, like I tell the players, you want things to go perfect, but when they don't, other good things happen. Like I told them right after the game, I wish we would have closed it out on offense twice when we had the ball, and made some first downs and ran the clock out, but we didn't, and it put our defense in a situation there to have to win the game for us, which they did. So that was great to see, and a very significant special teams play and a 60-yard punt that was able to milk some time off too that they didn't field. So very pleased. We've got a lot of work to do, a lot of improvement to do, but to be 8-1 at the bye, if you would have said at the beginning of the year with so many brand new players and the quarterback question, and obviously you'd love to be 9-0, but we lost a lot of people from last year, and there are a lot of questions coming in here with all the portal guys and how would they fit and all that. So again, we got a lot of work to do to improve, but record-wise, that's pretty good considering those things.
Lane, if you will, just kind of, what is this week like for y'all? With it being an open date this late in the season and everything, what's the process like to try to get these guys healthy?
Well, any open date, you still wanted to get some work done, maybe new schemes or things, but especially players that haven't played as much. It's so late in the season, so there's more about getting guys healthy. There's more people that you got to do that work. If it's earlier in the year, you don't as much, and so there'll be a lot of players very, not in practice and in the training room and trying to get back because, and kind of like our common theme, unfortunately, every year, we're not rotating a lot on offense, especially in the skill or line, but especially skill, which, has resulted in some huge play counts, 82 or something for Mingo, I think, the other day. So there's a lot of guys that need to get their bodies back.
Just asking you to answer in general, but what is your gauge on recruiting and how these prospects have responded to you guys being 8-1 at this point in the year, and as you mentioned, having to kind of you reload it as opposed to rebuilding?
Yeah, I think 10-2 regular, so 18-3 in regular season games over 2 years that they've been at a lot of them. They've seen them on TV. That's a lot of wins and success, and that it usually winning impacts recruiting, at least it used to a lot. So I think that we've had very good reception from guys that are interested in coming into a program that is winning and having a lot of fun doing that, and hopefully they overlook some other things.
Kind of putting a bow on this, and forgot to ask you after the game Saturday, did you and Jimbo interact pregame or meet or talk? I mean, how was that, if y'all did?
That was unusual. I've coached for a few years, and always shake hands with the head coach before the game, like I was taught. But I stood out there for a while, and he never came over, so I don't really know what the issue is. The media guys were there doing the game, so they said, don't feel bad. He blew them off, like the day before or something like that for their meeting. So it is what it is. So can't control other people.
What does it say about where your field is going right now that a coach in your division, Bryan Harsin, was let go less than 2 years into his tenure today?
Yeah, we were in meetings, so I actually didn't know that. So, that's never, when you've been through something like that, you obviously have empathy for people, and it is what it is, a profession. I'm not complaining because profession gets paid a lot of money and it's part of it. But, you know, when everybody roots for everybody to get fired and, oh, it's so great and everything, you know, it's not that person. It's a ton of people besides his family and, you know, a lot, especially because the staffs have increased now where kids are uprooted from schools and all those things. So I understand why fans root for it. I get it all, but there's a very personal side to it. A lot of adults, kids that when something like that happens are going to be affected.
Question from our readers here, but you've got a group of young linebackers on this team that they're not playing a lot, and I guess it's because they're not ready yet. But what have you seen out of them, and what kind of promise do guys like Willis and those guys hold?
Yeah, some are playing on special teams, and we do think that was a really good group signed, you know, and knew that there was, you know, some number issues coming up, and so I think those guys will be really good players. It's a hard position to play right away, you know, so, you know, that it takes time.
Quinshon Junkins and Nick Broker won some SEC awards this week. Just your thoughts on that and reaction, or are you surprised?
No. So when you play well and you win games and, you know, statistics are really well in an area like running, you know, those are going to happen. But Q, you know, like I said, that was pretty cool on his 19th birthday, you know, to have 34 carries, you know, which our staff was all complaining about all the injuries, you know, by them. But, you know, they had 9 defensive injuries that stopped the clock, that they stayed down for a very long time, as we all saw. You know, it's not like they jumped right up. So obviously that's usually frustrating for us as a tempo, especially when 8 of the 9 return, a number of them the next play after sitting out of play. So I said, hey guys, let's look at the positive, you know, what they did, and let Q rest, you know. So every time they had those injury timeouts, Q got to rest and was able to carry the ball 34 times. So, you know, I know it got some play about, you know, messing around with their DB and stuff, but, you know, that's the game's emotional. I was having fun with him because he was another one of the amazing stories where he'd been out the play before and, you know, play was over and all of a sudden he looks at the sidelines and he went down and then he's back the next play. So I'd been joking with him for a little bit there. But I have fun with that. You know, those kids like him, you know, have alpha personalities, 5-star, and, you know, we communicated after and laughed about it. So,
Lane, we saw Zach Evans make a really significant impact on that game Saturday night. It didn't look like he was 100%, but, man, he was certainly going 100%. Do you anticipate more and more of being able to integrate Zach into that backfield with Q the rest of the way?
Yeah, I think this week off will be huge for Zach. You know, I think a lot of that was adrenaline-based, where he was able to do that and didn't have a knee brace on, and then he felt it, and then came out, put a knee brace back on, and, you know, obviously he had the one run where he would have always scored on that, you know, where he fell down. So you can tell he's not fully healthy, but he pushed through and, you know, made some big plays. And I think that sideline run, running the guy over, which we just showed to the team, you know, was a lot for our sideline on a road game. And also, you know, as we've mentioned with him before, there were some early in the year that weren't like that. And then, you know, that Vanderbilt, he seemed to change.
Kind of got the rare opportunity of the bye week ahead of the Alabama game. Just for you and your staff, when will y'all kind of start looking at Alabama? I know you won't do anything on the field till next week, but when will y'all start looking? And I guess will you watch that game Saturday night?
You know, we'll start as soon as we leave here. You know, we just met with the players, let them go, so we'll start on that ourselves with Alabama and work on it all week.
I know this has happened to you a lot over your career, but when your name comes up in jobs like this, do you address it with your team? Does it come up when you talk to recruits, that kind of thing?
I never do with the team, never have. Recruits, you deal with that all the time. I would guess any time that you've probably taken jobs, and haven't been at one place forever, I bet every coach gets that. So I get that all the time from recruits. That's just part of it. And recruiting's competitive, and that gets used against us. And so we've been dealing with that for a long time. So it would be nothing new. All right, guys. Have a good week.